Hey YouTube. So it's been a while since I've done an actual conversation on YouTube. We're well into winter, the end of the month, January. It's January 28th today, I believe. So anyway, I figured I haven't been doing anything outside. The miraculous thing here was that this past fall I was able by myself to get everything cleaned up to the point that I wouldn't have to worry about it for winter. The miraculous thing is that I had gotten the wood exchanged in the kiln by myself and refilled again with that nice ash that you saw me cut. So anyway, I figured I'd have a little chat, and one of the things that bother me, you've heard me talk before. I've said pretty many things before, but I just want to tell you this. For most of my life, I was a businessman. And when I wasn't, I was working someplace else. So I was taught as a kid, to work. If you want something, you have to work for it. That's what I was taught. Didn't matter what you wanted, how you wanted it, where you wanted it. If you wanted something, you had to work for it. That was the name of the game, and that's how I was raised. So that means that when I wanted a car, I had to work and save for it. When I wanted a house, I had to work and save for it. And when I wanted a business, I had to work twice as hard to be able to have it. And I just will tell you that, working, that's the one thing I was taught as a kid, to work. To work and don't stop working, do all you can. Well, I have to say that at 65, I'm going to be 66 soon, but at 65, I'm freaking tired. I am tired. At 65 years old, I have gotten to the point where, I don't mind carrying buckets of coal for the house. I don't mind taking out the garbage. I don't mind walking the dog or feeding the animals. But there's a day going to come when I'm not going to be able to do all that stuff. And what's surprising to me about that is my wife and I read the Bible every day. We're Christians. We believe in that. And you can believe in whatever you want. I'm not here to argue that point. But I just want to say that one of the things that I noticed were, when you can say something, and Jesus had talked about this, where you say, someone needed clothing, I gave them clothing. Someone needed food, I gave them food. Someone needed shelter, I gave them shelter. I think about my children. None of my children can say that any of the things that they needed as kids, they did not get. Now, I'm not going to say that I wasn't a firm disciplinarian, because I was, and I still am. I believe that either you're going to do things right or you're not going to do them at all. That's my way of thinking. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't make mistakes. It means that you make corrections when you make mistakes. So, the thing that I find hard to understand, and I notice that this is becoming more and more prevalent. And here's the funny thing about this. My kids seem to have given up on, or not even concerned themselves with the idea that, hey, someone has worked hard to feed you, to clothe you, to make sure that, you got the education you needed to get to where you are today. Now, I'm not saying that I made them children. They had their own life, and, I did make them, but not in the way I'm saying here. What I mean is, they made their own life. They were taught that they should work also. Now, they appear to be working, but I don't really know, because none of them talk to us. And one talks to us, or two rather. But here's the thing. It's not whether they talk to you that bothers me. What bothers me is the disrespect. I remember all of my life, from the time I was little, when we first got married, or young I should say, not little, but young, I would spend somewhere around 3 $1,000 back in the early 70s for Christmas for gifts. And that just got bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, that bill, when all the kids were at home, that bill was somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000, and that's what I spent. But I also did not buy just anything they wanted during the year. I would wait until Christmas to do those things. But what I don't get is the kids that we've had, Christmas presents are far and few between. There's kids who have never given a Christmas present since they've been out of the house. There are kids who, I mean, they're not even thinking, they're not realizing that, you know, their father and mother need something from them. And they as kids need to supply those things. Now, I'm not talking about money or any particular thing. Maybe I would be talking about money if I wasn't okay with money, but what I'm saying is the kids don't seem to understand that, hey, you know, maybe your grandparents need their freaking driveway shoveled, or maybe they need coal brought in, or maybe they need something cleaned because mother can no longer do it. And they don't seem to recognize that. And this seems to me, from what I can see, when I was a kid there were more people helping their parents. Now there's less. And here's the funny part about this. My kids want to blame me for something. I'm not even sure what it is. One time I got told that because I know how to do all kinds of things, they can't keep up with me, so they would rather not be near me. Well, I don't really believe in that, because I never told them they had to be any particular thing. I always used to say that I don't care if you're a garbage man, just be a good one. You know, that was my goal in life, was to be successful in whatever it is that you try to do. And you can be. In this country, you can be a successful garbage man. And it all depends, it's up to you. If you don't like the name garbage man because you're high and mighty in your mind and you want to be called a civil engineer or something else, you know, fine for you, then go be that. I'm just saying you don't have to be any particular thing to be successful. So, but here's the thing that I noticed. It wasn't that I did something raising kids that was so bad, because now their kids are doing the same thing to them, and it's worse. Now, see, for me, no kid could stay home after 18 years old and not work. I didn't believe in that. I don't believe in it today, and I'm not going to let it happen, including with my grandchildren. If you're 18 years old and you're not willing to work, out. That's how I look at it. Get out. There's no second chances. There's no other thoughts. That's the thoughts. If you're not working and you're 18 years old, get out. Because you need to put more effort into this. That's how I see it. And if you put them out, they'll have to find something. Okay, so anyway, that's one thing I'm saying. Now, I would do that with my own children if they didn't work and if they weren't working. So why would I not do that with my grandchildren? And I would, and I do, and I did already. So here's the point. You know, my kids, like my daughter says to me, well, she doesn't even tell us about the kids. Like, she'll call and I'll have a half-hour conversation. She will not mention one of the kids, and she has 4 of them. So she won't talk about any of them because she doesn't want them to have to go to work or whatever. And they realize that she doesn't have their best interest in mind. But at the same time, it's one thing to know that your parents have your best interest as a kid. But you better understand that as a kid, it's up to you to develop that best interest and make things become something. Because you just cannot go through life without putting an effort out. You need to put a substantial effort out. You know, I was just watching a video not long ago about coal miners. And I happen to like coal mines. I was born in the coal mining section of the country in Pennsylvania. And even though I've never worked as a coal miner, they have something going for them. And I believe that they should have something going for them. But these, government, like when Obama was in, oh, we don't want to have any coal, give me a freaking break. Something's wrong with these people. But the point is, and I'm not going to argue with you about pollution, because man pollutes, period. The more we go and buy stuff, the more pollution we cause. It's that simple. My garbage bags, I take in 1 week's time, we have two great big 50-gallon garbage bags. Yet, when I bring the groceries home, I've only got, the back seat filled with groceries for 2 weeks. So you can't tell me that it's, me causing pollution because I like coal. So I'm not going to listen to that. But anyway, what I am saying is you need to be able to put an effort out to work. So, these people, whatever they want in life, if getting a tattoo is important to you and having an Apple phone is important, that's your game. But the point is you need to have money to be able to go get this stuff. And I, for one, do not believe that when kids are 18 years old from that age on, that a parent should have to buy them anything. Now, if you want to help them out, buy them a nice Christmas present, buy them a nice birthday gift, that's up to you. That's you're the parent, and you can do that. But if these kids are not even willing to look home to say, they did clothe me, they did feed me, they did make sure that I got to somewhere where I am, and have something to do with my having made it to the point that I'm at. If they can't do that, then they're wrong. There's something very wrong with them. Because nobody can live for 17 years in a household with someone and not pick up something. You'd have to be a total nitwit to not be able to pick up something in 17 years. And I can say this, that none of our children are nitwits. Now, they sometimes act like nitwits, that's for certain. They certainly act like there's no God, which I don't understand where that came from. But, they take on these attitudes and they never look back. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that as a young man I did not take on an attitude with my father, because I did. When it was time for me to get out and go do what I wanted to do, I did that. But the kids, my children, they seem to want to drag their feet a little bit, and then their children are dragging their feet totally by not even worrying whether they get anywhere or not. They just expect that the parents are going to make this happen. And I think that how this has occurred throughout our whole country is a travesty to us as a people. And I think that this somehow has to stop. And the more you let people run your life, just like you let them run your schools, the more problems you're going to have. You can not have people who don't know what they're doing other than to say, oh, I'm a board member of the school. I have a tag here. I'm a school board member. Excuse me, guys. So that makes me special. No, if you're a school board member and you're giving the kids everything that they want, kids now, and not what they need because you can't make a good decision, then you're a worthless school board member. Now, if you're a good school board member, and I've seen a lot of people who are, please continue on and don't give up that good fight that you're fighting. But I got to tell you, it seems like it's a losing battle to me in some of these things. What gets me most about this is I have a collection of stuff, just like any other American does. I have a collection of guns, I have a collection of vehicles, I have a collection of property, and I have these collections because I figured someday the kids are I'm gonna give them to the kids. And to get to the point where the kids, they don't want it, is amazing to me. It amazes me because not only were they taught to go and get your own stuff, but they were also taught to be polite and kind to other people when they talk to them. So I don't understand why the kids would not understand in their little minds that, okay, Dad is at a certain age, soon it'll be over, soon whatever all he has is going to go to someone. And the way I feel like right now is I almost don't care who it is. I'd rather give it to a stranger than give it to children who ignored us for most of our life. And I can't believe that it even is occurring, but it is occurring. Now, we can have good parents out there who don't have this problem with their kids, and how you did it, I don't know. And if it didn't bother you, if you homeschooled your kids or whatever, and maybe that has something to do with it, again, I don't know if it does or not, then God bless you, and I'm glad that your life is better. But you're looking at somebody who has everything they could ever want, okay? Everything they could ever need. And I can get anything that my wife or I would want or need at this point, just like I could my whole life after starting to work. With just a little bit of patience is how you do that. I don't understand why the kids turn their back on you and walk away. It just doesn't make any sense to me, especially after they've grown a little. I can tell you that none of my children know me as an adult. They only know me as a dad, because once they left, I was still dad to them. When they grew older and became an adult and were able to understand right and wrong of things, and to understand why life is so difficult, they never bothered to come and talk about it. So I find that hard to believe, because I got to tell you, I couldn't live a decent life without having talked to my father and my both grandfathers often, to be able to understand where I should be putting most of my endeavors and most of my work, and how to make this work pay off in such a way that when you get to my age, you're not, starving to death or wishing you had something. I mean, we don't have that problem, and I just don't understand how can these kids today not be able to see that they are needed, but not in the way they think they're needed. We need our kids to back up, to help back up, not our mistakes, but to recognize the mistakes that we've admitted to, whatever they might be. And I'm not talking about anything serious here, I'm talking about kiddie things. But we need our children to be able to look at our lives and understand what we went through, how we went through it, how we did what we did, and where we ended up. You don't end up ripping someone off your whole life and become rich in the end and have, this money clear. You somehow lose it because of the bad things you've done, in my mind anyway. So the fact that my wife and I are both in a good position it should prove that, we have not been so bad our whole lives. There was a time when we may have been more to say no to something than we are now, or yes to something. But the biggest problem that I seem to see that's going on that is really sad, and I think that children have to fix it, is if you don't know anything about God, read the Bible a little bit. If God isn't your thing, and whatever is, find it. But I will tell you, it's not a cell phone and it's not in a tattoo. You've got to be able to live your life as a decent person. You've got to be able to talk to other people in a way that they can understand. You've got to understand their frustrations, their concerns. And once you learn about that stuff, then when you look at your parents, who were to you the strongest thing there was at one point, now are no longer that strong person as far as physical strength goes, or no longer can do some of the simple things that they used to do. Now, believe me, I can do what I need to do to take care of myself here and my wife. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just complaining about my future that I see with these kids, and I'm offering to them to grow up. I don't know what else to say. Grow up. We have tried to talk to them different times. They weren't interested. But I'm telling you, you should grow up, make their call, try and find out what you can, and become something better than you are. Because you're not going to be able to live your life the way you're living it, and the way your children are living it, and be what's known as a family. All you are is you remind me of a backhoe. You scoop up whatever you want and put it where you want it, and don't care how you got it or where it's going. And that is not right. You have got to understand where the things came from that you have, and where they're going to as you live your life. So to think that you have never honored your mother or father in the age that you're in now, we're talking 30s, 40s, and almost 50s, you guys are making some big mistakes. So if that's the age of your children, the people I'm talking to here, if your children are that age and they're making these mistakes, I pray that they change their minds and grow into something better and learn something better so that they can do better in their life. Because you just cannot keep going down the same path and expect everything to be okay. I mean, we made a lot of mistakes in our life, as we started to work and do things like that. So there's always something that has to be fixed. In the end, I still was able to talk to my mother or father when I was younger. We did have arguments and stuff, and my parents were tough. You didn't talk back to my mom or dad and expect to get friggin' gifts from it. I can tell you that now. But at the same time, they were always good to get good information from on how life should be. And they were truthful in their work habits. They put their heart into working and trying to get ahead. So I have no problem with getting ahead, and that's something you should have been doing, since you've been 18 years old. But by the time you're 30, 40, and 50, if you haven't learned anything about your life, that you can't change your perspective about your own mother and father, there's something wrong with you. You need to sit down and think about this, because to give your wife to give your wife's family all of what you have and nothing to your family because your wife thinks so or your spouse thinks so, whichever husband or wife, is a wrong thing to do. No one person should be picked out as the eternal right person. Everybody has to be given an understanding and some time to be able to try to make things right. You can see somebody bad when they're a kid in school. I know when I was in school there were some bad kids in school. No matter what you tried to do with them, these kids were just always bad. As they got older in life, they learned that either they're going to be bad and go to jail, or they're going to learn how to act like a mature idiot, a mature person instead of an idiot, and make life a little better for themselves. Every one of them did. It went one way or the other. That's how it is. Only occasionally did you get the sneaky guy who's still an idiot at 65 and doesn't seem to care about anybody else. But anyway, guys, that's something I wanted to talk about today. And if you want to write comments back, be my guest. I'm just looking for comments that have something to do with why you feel this might be taking place in such a prevalent way. And the other thing that I don't understand is when I was a kid, a family who had money acted differently than a family who did not. Now, what I don't understand is today, people who are on welfare act the same way as the family who has money. Not so much that they have money to spend, but the act that they belong here, or they need that, or they should have this, or they deserve something. To me, you deserve if you worked. If you didn't work, you shouldn't have it. You don't deserve it. That's my opinion. So anyway, guys, let me know what your opinion is on this subject if you get a chance. And we'll be getting back to the sawmill just as soon as this weather decides to change. I mean, this weather's been so ridiculous. It was, I'm not even going to go over what it was. It's just been ridiculous. All right, guys, so have a good one.